What's going on, guys? Corey from Yoda Expedition. In front of me, I have some products from Sherpa. These are the rear window panels and the traction board mounts. We're going to be mounting these together and putting everything on our Crestone roof rack. All right, so we have everything laid out on the table here that we need. We have the window panel, we have the traction board mounts here, we have the traction board locks. These are from MaxTrax. And then we have all of our hardware needed. And then the tools, we have a ratchet, an 11mm socket, 11mm wrench, and a 4mm Allen wrench. So the first thing we're gonna do is get the traction board mounts mounted to the window panel. Now it could be a bit tricky knowing where to mount these, but we're gonna make it really easy for you guys. So you're going to, this is the driver's side window panel. We're gonna be mounting the bracket on the back side of the 4Runner. So first we're gonna be mounting or lining up this slot with this slot, and then that will line up your hole here with this slot, and then these slots here. Once you get those bolts in, you wanna slide this to the back. And then for the bracket on the front, we are going to be going into this hole right here on the top. And then that will get your hole lined up with this slot and this slot lined up with that slot. Again, once you get those bolts in, we're gonna be sliding that to the back as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those bolts put in. So we're gonna be using the 11mm hex bolts and washer on both sides and a nylock nut on the bottom. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get these mounted up. So if you do have some sort of accessory for your window panels, you wanna make sure to mount them before you put the window panel on, or if you already have this installed, you're probably gonna wanna take the window panel back off, because to do this on the vehicle is gonna be pretty difficult. Also, if you are new to the window panels or you just pick these up, we have a full install video on just the window panel itself. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link down in the description for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and snug all these up. I wanna make it so that I can still move it back and forth in the slot, but I also don't want it to be flopping all over the place. So I'm gonna go ahead, get these snugged up, and then we'll get everything aligned so that the traction boards can fit properly. All right, so we have these snugged up enough so that we can slide this back and forth and get everything aligned properly. Now we can go ahead and get the traction board locks, I guess we could call them. These are from MaxTrax, and these seem to be the best option when it comes to traction boards and the Sherpa window panel mounts. So we're gonna go ahead and get these mounted onto here. We're gonna need a 17mm socket for this, and I'm just using an adjustable wrench on the other end for these flats. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the 4 bolted onto here. All right, so one tip when tightening these down, you wanna make sure that the smaller diameter is going to be facing towards the outside. So on the back side of the vehicle, you want them facing towards the back, and then on the front side of the vehicle, you want them facing towards the front. Otherwise, your traction boards are not gonna fit into the groove. So on these as well, you wanna make them just snug, because you can see on both of them, we have some up and down movement. So you wanna make sure to get the traction board positioned right first, and then we'll tighten everything down. All right, so now that we have everything snugged up, we can go ahead and get the traction boards put on there, get everything aligned properly, and then tighten it down. So behind me, I have a set of traction boards. These are the tread from ARB, and these work with the MaxTrax mounts. So you can go with MaxTrax traction boards, the ARB tread, or Action Trax. Those all work with these style of mounts. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get all of this lined up. So if there is another brand of traction board that you're interested in, if it has this style hole on it, with the keyway. It should work with these style of mounts. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure everything is lined up, and then we can tighten it all down. All right, so I'm going to stack both of the traction boards on here so that the keyways are inside. If I do just one, you can see that it's down below the key. So I want to make sure I am engaged with the key so I can make sure everything is lined up nicely. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten down those four, and then we can tighten down the mount itself. So now that we have the MaxTrax mounting brackets tightened down, we can go ahead and align everything front to back. So I'm going to be starting with the bracket on the front side. We're going to be pushing that towards the back of the vehicle as much as we can until it stops, and we're going to tighten that one down there, and then we're going to tighten down this one. But you want to make sure that there's no tension on the sides of these so that these come off and on easily. You don't want like a lot of drag. So we got the front pins aligned and tightened up. Now we're going to move to the bracket on the back side. So when we go and tighten this, we want to just make sure like the whole bracket is kind of relaxed, and that when you go to take these on and off, it's smooth. So you can see if I push back on this, I'm creating tension on the traction boards. So you don't want to do that. You just want to kind of let it go where it needs to be. Make sure everything goes on and off nicely, and then tighten it there. So if you want to run the same exact setup that we have here with the MaxTrax brackets and the ARB tread boards, you're going to run into a problem where you have some gappage on the bottom and the traction boards can wiggle up and down. So we put some rubber spacers in there to fill up that space. So now when we go ahead and put these on, so when you get these on, you can see with the rubber spacers, these lock perfectly, and you're not going to have any wiggle on your traction boards. You can see on this side, if we lock that, how much room there is for those to move up and down. I'm assuming we're running into that issue because we have ARB traction boards, and these mounts are for MaxTrax, but if you have MaxTrax traction boards, it probably won't be an issue. So now we're going to take the traction boards off, and we can get this up onto the 4Runner. So I'm going to go ahead now and get this mounted onto our roof rack. Like I said earlier, we have a full installation video on just the window panel itself, so I'm not going to go super in depth on how to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted, and then we can get the traction boards put on. So there you have it. We just finished up on the traction board window panel mounts from Sherpa. So now the next thing we need to do is just get stuck and have to use them. So if you guys are interested in anything that we went over in this video from Sherpa or the traction boards, it's all available on yodaexpedition.com. I'll put the link down in the description for everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.